I've been delighted to find that one of the things that startups can do that big organizations struggle with is pivot really quickly and redesign quickly. And I think A/B testing is really undervalued, even though it's heavily valued. I still think it's undervalued and underused to figure out how to get things right. People have in mind, this is the way. And they think, this is the best design. This is what the user will like most. And the more we can A/B test, the more we discover that our intuitions so often are wrong. In my book, I walk through a number of different barriers that are quite common and that research in behavioral science suggests ways to overcome. I think there's sort of two that are probably most relevant to the climate crisis. The first one is present bias or impulsivity. People are much more willing in advance to pre-commit to say, yeah, future me will do that. And if you can find ways to get those commitments to be locked in, that's the future locking component. You can get people to be much more future, to act in ways that are more forward-looking. The other big one I would say is social, that we're creatures who care immensely about our peers and what they're doing, and that can be a barrier, so a hindrance or a help, depending on whether your peers are doing things that are aligned with, say, for instance, doing what's good for the climate or not. I think that's been a massive experiment with some features of our life that we felt we couldn't live without, we couldn't do our work without, that were costly for the climate. And we've learned actually we can. And it makes me recognize, or I think it's a nice illustration that we need to experiment more even when we're not forced to, right? It shouldn't have taken this crisis to push employers and individuals to explore these possibilities, given there's another crisis looming. But it did. We've learned a lot. I hope one of the things we've learned is never say never, and that we should be more open to trying different things, especially when there's this much on the line. It's not just that if I structure messaging, in the best possible way, or your environment in the best possible way to encourage you to be more likely to say, drive a fuel efficient car or conserve energy in your home. It's not just that reduces your footprint or your carbon footprint individually. It also tends to lead you to become more supportive of environmental causes, because as you change behavior, you change your attitudes about the world to align with those behavior changes. We've seen really big returns on this approach when we sort of throw more things at the wall and have a broader range of people involved in idea generation. And I hope we'll be able to bring this approach to bear on more and more important problems, including climate change, so that we can, I think of it as sort of like the Manhattan Project in a weird way, right? Like we've done these massive big science efforts in other parts of the world. And I think it's time to be thinking about it in terms of behavior change when the stakes are so high in so many parts of our lives.